So there's a saying that I believe applies to many things, and that's that the best part about something can also be the worst part about it, because every Thursday I'm excited to go to the cinema and experience all the technology that is the experience, be in a dark room full of strangers so we can experience this movie. It's something I look forward to every Thursday. And it's something I dread every Thursday. With the release of A Quiet Place and my experience watching it and being able to hear like other people's thoughts because of how quiet that movie was, I decided to ask you guys on Twitter what your worst theater experience has ever been. And I got some pretty interesting answers to go with this, Friday Yours series that I've been doing. Luckily, none of them are as bad as like a Abraham Lincoln incident, but some are things that I'm pretty sure all of us have experienced way more than one time. So obviously we all have an issue with our phones, right? We're addicted to this black mirror. This is the black mirror that they talk about in the show. So every time you go to the theater, it's interesting because that's like the one thing they ask of you, right? Shut up and turn off your cell phones. They literally invest money into the M&Ms. They hire them to be able to make something to remind you need to turn off your phones. And yet we pay like a mortgage payment. Like tickets are pretty expensive, and people still don't pay attention to what they paid for. They're on Snapchat, they're doing other things. Fernando tweeted out someone having a conference call. Thankfully, it was a crap movie, but still. And that's something that I think a lot of people have experienced. When I saw Acrimony, hopefully you guys have never gone through this, but when like someone's phone goes off, it's on ringer, they pick it up and answer it, and they go, "Hey, what's up?" "No, I ain't busy." A teen girl next to me scrolling her cell phone, Instagram, Facebook, like, y'all can do that afterwards. During the whole movie, when the movie was over, she said to her parents, "What was the movie about?" "I didn't understand." Someone taking Snapchat pictures with bright light. That's always something I've never understood. So one, I don't know if you've ever noticed that when people are like sitting down, like you're right behind them and they're on their phone. For starters, they have their phone like on super brightness. You're in a dark screen, and for whatever reason, like it automatically adjusts down. They purposely like bring it up as much as possible. I like to text here. Movie theater logic, you have to text here? I'll be honest with you. I am a dude who likes talking during a movie, like when you're watching it at home with friends, being able to have that commentary with other people. But that's when you're at home with friends, right? People sitting next to you ain't your friends. In my opinion, there are 3 different type of theater talkers, and it would be those who just want to give you spoilers, like throughout the entire movie. They're just talking about, oh yeah, this is that, this is not like in the comic, and this is like, bro, be careful. The other type is the pretentious person who is always giving you like that word by word technique type of thing. I usually don't see this in the theater. I usually see it like right afterwards when you have like the very opinionated people. Obviously, I have my own opinions. I have my own channel talking about it. When it comes to theater, I don't say anything till like I'm back in this seat, because it's always interesting. Like as soon as the movie ends, right? People worked 6 months on this movie. As soon as the movie ends, oh, that was just complete and utter garbage. I wasted my time. Which is interesting because I heard a quote recently that, yeah, time is always wasted. You can never get that back. Lastly is that person who asks a bunch of questions as if like you're the director or something. And anytime I'm in a position like that, and I know it's usually when I bring like friends or something and they're asking me, oh, what's this? What's that? I just lie. I tell them something so they're even more confused throughout the movie. But one of the funniest tweets that I got was David talking about a lady pulling a Brenda during 2/3 of Gravity. That's funny stuff. Now, I'll say this for those of you who have wanted to go to like an advanced screening, who are curious, but like no one ever tells you, GoFobo. I used to use it all the time. I sometimes still do, because they don't give you like the critic screenings all the time, so I'm there waiting in line. Go to gofobo.com, sign up, and if you have like screenings near you, if you're quick enough to get those passes, you'll be able to go to those screenings. And I have always found those screenings interesting because they're open for anybody. People like bring their entire family and then some. They go to a free screening like a week ahead of time, and when they ask you, please put away your cell phones or we're going to kick you out because we're going to assume you're recording, there's always people complaining. It's like, bro, it's a free movie. You can also go to an Alamo Draft House if you have one of those near you, but they have like a guy or a girl who's pretty much watching and making sure that no one's making any noise or they'll cook you out, but you sneeze and you're out of there. I know that you can control other people, strangers who are coming to see the movie, they're spending their money. I get it to a certain degree. What I will not tolerate is when you're paying those $12 in the theater just ain't up to par, right? One of the things right here dealing with like the lights, when the lights are like still on halfway through your movie, when another movie is playing while you're trying to watch the other one. And I'll be completely honest, I do get upset sometimes, but I also get really excited when that happens because all I'm thinking is free movie tickets. There was even one time where I was watching Birdman and like at this specific scene, the film just like burnt, digital, whatever the projector, it just literally was done. It exploded and we all thought that was part of the movie. So I was like, yo, this thing's getting artsy. Turns out it was just a mistake and we had to come back. Again, free tickets to go see another movie. But the one time that it like really upsets me is when you're really excited for a movie. Like when I went to go see Dunkirk, right, which is all meant to be in IMAX and this big screen. This was the size of the screen that I was supposed to be in. Movie starts. I'm like struggling to be able to get the entire picture that I paid for. Watching The Force Awakens while sitting behind a guy who was like a foot and a bit taller than me. Those are the funniest ones. My girlfriend is like super short, so like half the time she's doing like gymnast moves trying to see the picture. That's why you gotta sit on the sides. Some hoe sleeping on top of my 13-year-old brother during Captain America Civil War. I mean, if they kept it PG-13, I'm curious to know if they assembled afterwards. During Kingsman 2, the person right behind me was sick and was sniffling, coughing, blowing her nose throughout the entire movie. Horrible experience. Yeah, again, that's probably like the worst thing. You gotta walk in there like you're wearing those like anthrax masks that they wear overseas and stuff. I just never understood why you would leave your house if you're sick. You got like stage 4 bronchitis. Just stay at home. Walking into a showing of Hidden Figures and seeing a woman literally mount her boyfriend ready for some theater sex. I guess they weren't keeping their figures that hidden, but they were trying to take off just like the movie. The joke that I've always related to this is, you know when you walk into a movie theater and the floors are sticky. Asking someone if I could sit somewhere and then them saying that it's reserved. And then like it's not. I think we've all been in that situation. One of the ones that I hate the most is when like you get the perfect seats in the middle, then people, fill it out and you got the like one seat and then they demand you to move. It's like, no. Now y'all gotta split. That's why I'm a huge fan when it comes to reserved seating, but even here my boy Ivan says going to my reserved seat and people are sitting there. It's like you get a reserved seat so you can be able to get there after the trailers if you want to. You gotta get there like 45 minutes early because people go in there and they just set up camp. What baffles my mind all the time with that is that you literally, like minutes before you had a screen where you were able to pick where you were gonna sit. So how do you confuse sitting right in front of the screen, on the side, to right in the... Have y'all never played Battleship? I'll be honest though, there was one time I yelled at this couple, I'm like, y'all in my seat. I don't know how I had my ticket backwards. While watching Harry Potter 7, the dude next to me cream cheese the bagel and asked the guy on the other side if he wanted. That's nice. Look, I am not opposed to people bringing in food. I get that it's like 2 student loans in order to get a popcorn and a small drink, but if you're gonna bring in something, just do it respectfully, right? Like, I brought like a 5-course meal from Maggiano, some pasta, some breadsticks, a nice Chianti. As long as you're not making noise for other people, then that's fine. There are other scenarios, however, where a dude that sat in front of me for Star Trek Reboot 2 snuck in a dozen tuna sandwiches. Why? Like, we've all snuck in a soda here or there, right? I get it. But there's a technique to it, right? You gotta wait for the action sequence when they're being loud. Not when it's quiet and there's dialogue and you just decide to go bring in an entire keg. I don't care, but the moment you pop that tab, just be courteous. Kids are probably the thing that people complain about the most. I got the most tweets out of this one. There's one where Angie says, when I politely asked a lady that was sitting behind me if she could have her son stop kicking my seat, she called me the B word and flipped me off and left the theater. Guess I did something wrong. Nah, she left the theater. You did something right. This is why I always encourage you go into the early bird special, the matinee. That's why I go on Friday mornings during the weekdays, because anytime during the weekdays, the kids are at school, right? It's right after school, those screenings, that it's going to be loaded with kids. It's at night when it's going to be loaded with annoying teenagers. You go in the morning, it's just you and the elderly people. And the elderly people are the coolest people you can watch a movie with. Literally, I have them sitting next to me, seeing the little CC closed captioning, so it feels like I'm at Netflix with the subtitles. Kyle said, I politely asked a woman and her kid to be quiet. She replied with, make me, kicked my seat, and continued to talk louder. I'm only going to say this once. probably gonna be used against me. There was one time where this kid was like on the railings. He was literally all over the railings. I can't remember what movie I was watching. And the mom did nothing. He was like humping the railings, just jumping up there, and it was making ding, 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 ding. So I timed it so on one of those things, I just Sparta kicked that railing. Kid fell. Mom didn't say anything. But that kid made eye contact with me. He knew to shut up for the rest of the movie. I'm not saying hurt kids when they're annoying you. What I'm saying is make a louder noise that may ripple up and have them shut up. Overall, it stands that the best experience you can have is going to a theater, right? Because of all the technical stuff they have, their IMAX, Dolby, huge fan of those. Being able to experience a movie with a bunch of strangers who are fans of that thing, when you go to that Avengers premiere, the big franchise, when everyone's laughing with the comedy, everyone's gasping with the drama, everyone's scared with the horror, it's a unique experience, and that's why we go to the theater. So I'll end this video with the worst theater experience I ever had, and that was for my advanced screening for a movie called Need for Speed, where a family had just filled up the entire row behind us practically, and the whole time they were snoring, they were farting, they were yelling, they were literally on a call with somebody else, and throughout the entire time we weren't able to turn around because they would just yell back. And it wasn't until the end of the movie, after smelling smells that we had no idea had anything to do with the film, after hearing things that we had no idea would even come from people, we got up and turned around to see microwave popcorn, cans of soda, hair from what I believed belonged to a weave, and a little clear water cup with a razor in there because the dude had shaved during the movie. And I wish I had a sponsorship with the Dollar Shave Club, because that would have been the perfect ending. A woman started spraying herself with this extremely strong perfume. That's what you gotta do. So you gotta bring in like those disinfectant wipes, your best friend. You gotta come in with like a gun full of Febreze, Clorox disinfectant. Especially when you're like watching 50 Shades types of movies. You don't know what happened before. One of the most annoying things was watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, in which a woman let her brat run around the very front of the theater with shoes that had flashing lights. That was me back in the day.